Hi, hello again. Equity investing versus income investing. Elon Musk is worth billions and billions and billions of dollars because of his equity, how much value he has in the shares of stock that he has. I am not Elon Musk. I don't intend to be Elon Musk. I don't plan to try to be like Elon Musk in equity investing. You start a company and the value of your stock goes up and up and up and up. People will loan you money against the equity that you have in the shares of stock. Many people, in my estimation, they make the mistake by buying a share of stock in hopes that it'll skyrocket and they'll have more equity. In my view, that's something I don't want to do because I don't know what stock is going to do that. If I buy a stock at $1 and I buy $1,000 worth of stock at $1 and it goes up to $10, okay, now at $10,000. If it goes up to $100,000 or $1 million, I now have a lot more equity than when I started. For me, it's more difficult to pick those stocks that'll go up in value like that. If you know in the future that all the different stocks that you pick are going to rise in value tremendously, and then you sell them, and then you have to pay the capital gains, more power to you. I am an income investor for the most part. I do dabble in a stock that I think that might skyrocket. That's a risk. I don't own too much of that. But if the value of that stock goes way up, then I've got some money in equity. But I don't. 99% of the stocks I buy, or 90% or whatever the percentage is income. When you buy a stock that has a dividend, whether it's a monthly or quarterly, and in other countries it'll be every 6 months in a year. If you buy British stock, once a year they'll pay a dividend, or every 6 months, depending on the stock in Europe. Not just England, other countries. In the United States, they have stocks that pay quarterly, which is every 3 months. And they have stocks that pay monthly. I own both. The income investing strategy is you buy the stocks that have dividends. And then you take the dividends and sometimes you reinvest them and sometimes you live off of them. I, at this time, prefer to reinvest so I can compound what I make. Compounding is when you have something at, say you have an income and it's 10%. And you buy your shares and the yield is 10%, and then it's a monthly stock, so you buy more when it pays you on that month. You add money to it, or you just take the same money and buy more shares. And then your 10% will be more than 10% because you're taking the dividend, so it could be 11, 12, or 15 by the end of the year. I don't know. It depends on how fast it compounds, how much you buy. But compounding is a good way to increase your income. So income investing looks at the income that you get from the stock. Equity investing is what the value of the stock is. If the value of the stock goes from $10 to $12, you made $2 in equity. If the value of the stock goes from $10 to $8, you lost $2 in equity. It doesn't have to be $10. It can be any amount whatsoever. It can be pennies. It can be dollars. It can be whatever. But equity is how much value of the stock you have. If you have 400 different shares of five different companies, or 2 shares, or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The equity will rise and lower on the price of the stock. So the higher the stock goes, the more equity you have. The lower the stock goes, the less equity you have. Some brokers let you borrow against your equity to buy more shares. That's called buying on margin. I don't focus on that. I focus on taking the dividends. If I have income coming in, when I have an income coming in, I take that income and invest it in stock. And then when the dividend comes in, I invest that in more stock because I'm an income investor. I'm not looking at the price of the stock except for, well, when the price of the stock goes down, I want to buy more because I want to increase my income. When the price of the stock goes up, I can afford it less, but I'll still buy it because I want an income. Income investors focus on the income of the shares, in this case of the stock. Say you buy a house and you don't live in it and you don't rent it. The value might go up. Equity investors will say, oh, great, the value went up from $100,000 to $110,000. Income investors will want to rent the house. It's $100,000 and I can get $800 a month for it or $1,000 a month for it. They rent it. That's an income. Now, people who are interested in both will buy a house. When the value of the house goes up, they're happy. And when they rent it, they're happy. They're both an income investor and an equity investor. Sometimes you say, well, the price of the house is never going to go down. Well, they had one time recently where a lot of the prices of the house dropped tremendously. It used to be considered a safe investment, buying a house. Renting it is income. The value of the house going up or down is equity. A lot of people want to fix their house up, so they'll get an equity loan from the bank, and then they do something and the value of the house goes up. They've increased their equity, even though they borrowed $10,000 and they did something that made it worth $20,000 more. They've increased their equity by $10,000 and they still owe $10,000. But for stock owners, people who focus on stock, they will buy income investors will look at what is this dividend. Is it 2 cents, 10 cents? What's the percentage? The higher the percentage, the better the yield. Sometimes they'll cut the dividend and the yield drops down. That's happened to me. I've owned 42 different positions in my Fidelity account, and one of them dropped all the way to 1% or something. But I have a lot of stocks that, I have 3 stocks right now that are paying around 22% yield. So I'm not worried about the one stock that's down 1% to 1 point something percent yield. I might buy it again if, depending on the price and depending if they fix the problem that they have. In general, I'm an income investor. If I speculate on if I think that particular company is going to go way up, I might buy a few shares. But that's the exception, not the rule. I prefer income from my stocks because that stock that I bought that might go through the roof, it might take 10 years. In the 10 years, I want to be having money coming in from all my other stocks. 42 positions in my Fidelity account, and I'm not sure how many positions in my Vanguard account. I have to go check them again. I'm focusing on Fidelity right now. So you can have multiple brokers. Fidelity is a broker who buys stock. Zero commission trade. Vanguard is also zero commission trade. Some people like Charles Schwab. Some people use Webull. Some people use Robinhood. There are a lot of different ways to buy stock. As long as it doesn't cost you any money to purchase the stock, that's a good way to go. So if you have any more questions, comment down below and I'll try to get to them. I've got to record a video sometime this week on somebody asked me about a year or so ago about a particular stock. I forget what it was, MVP. I forget what it was. When I cover that stock, I'll tell you that it was a requested video. I'll talk to you the next time I talk to you. So if you have any more questions, just comment below, hit like, hit subscribe, and your notification bell on, and we're good to go. I'll talk to you when I talk to you.